what I saw in the preseason has me leaning more towards the over than I've ever leaned. And the brutal start to the schedule is the hard thing. If they could steal 2 games there, the question is, do they get to 6? And I feel more than I have of pushing the over. And that's a good thing. With whatever happens with this team this season, there's got to be improvement. I don't want to be dragging along for the... I know it's going to be rough. I don't think you're going to win all the games and push for the playoffs. But what I don't want is when we hit the offseason for next year to everybody just feeling down and low. I want them to feel some excitement. I want them to feel good about where this team is headed. You want the development of Mason Graham. You want Carson Schlesinger making plays. I'd like some of the younger wide receivers to step up and make some plays. I'm hooked on the preseason. I feel optimistic. I feel better about where the Browns are at now than when they started camp. Danny, I'll go to you here.
Now, how much of this is impacted by what happened against the LA Rams in the final preseason game, where you did see the Browns starters play against a bunch of guys that, frankly, did not make the LA Rams because they're like 4th stringers, and that's what the end of the preseason was. They really didn't get that tune-up dress rehearsal type game because in all of the games that they played, they were either against the Rams, who didn't play starters, or came on the back of a joint practice session where neither team played its starters. So I don't know, really, Matt, that there's a whole bunch to take away from this preseason. Like, yes, Joe Flacco looked good in the 1 quarter of preseason football that he played. I do think some of the Browns starters look good, the ones that did play throughout the preseason. You talk about rookie development. Dylan Gabriel looked, I think, a lot better than anybody expected.
I agree.
Given what we had heard about him coming out of Berea during practices, he looked much better during actual preseason games. So I certainly think that is a good sign. But if you want to sell me on the over, there's one thing that I think I need to look at, and it's not something that you mentioned. And it's that Kevin Stefanski, I think, is somebody that is a really good coach. And this is not a good roster. This is not a good football team. To what you said, this is not a team that's going to be flirting with the playoffs. They're not going to be a team fighting for a wild card berth. If they win, if the over hits, I think it's at 6. I don't think it's at 7, 8, or 9. But I do think they can get to that number. Maybe they could potentially get to 7. I don't see it, but maybe there's a pathway there.
You know,
if they get to that number, it's because I think they have, yes, Joe Flacco, who can do some good things, and because they have a good coach in Kevin Stefanski. And I think that is the thing that you have to look at as mattering.
You know, I don't know if optimistic is the word I would use. And if you're betting the over to get to 6 wins, then I think you have to win week 1 because I think wins are obviously going to be few and far in between.
Oh, yeah.
But the issue is the Browns aren't littered with young talent. Like, you can argue they're a quarterback away. I don't think that's the case. People had that debate last year, and I think clearly the answer was no to that. Your offensive line is probably the biggest thing I look at outside of DeJuan Jones, who hopefully can cement himself as a left tackle of the future. Joe Bitonio is going to be gone next year. I think that's written on the wall. And then guys like Jack Conklin, Ethan Posick, and Wyatt Teller, who knows what their future is with this team. And outside of Carson Schlesinger, on the defensive side, Mason Graham, we expect to come in and immediately wreck the game, which I hope happens. Denzel Ward, who knows what happens. One more concussion, God forbid.
Battling shoulder
Martin
injuries
Emerson
we speak.
Jr.,
Yeah.
what are you going to expect coming off an Achilles tear? I don't know the contract situation. So outside of that, I'm not that excited for the Browns, unfortunately. But I think regardless of what happens, and we can talk about this in a minute, but the Browns are drafting a quarterback in the first round next year, and there's no bones about that.